Well, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. This is Ken Baker, and I'm the Oracle Alliance Director for Apps Associate. Just want to thank everybody for joining today. Really excited about this presentation on Oracle EPM. It does have a golf theme. Even if you're not a golfer, I hope you can relate. We're just kind of comparing some of the clubs to some of the bundle within EPM and just kind of had a golf theme. Thought it would be a nice twist for the presentation today. So, thanks everyone once again for joining. And I'm going to turn it over to Adib Kartabil, who heads up our EPM practice here at Apps Associate.
Thank you, Ken, and hello everyone. Welcome to this presentation. I will just take the first part of this presentation and talk to who is Apps and give you a quick idea. It will be quick, a couple of slides, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kyle Gamble, who's going to walk us through the different golf clubs and and hopefully help us improve our golf game going forward. To get started, we're going to start with the apps introduction. Go ahead, Carla. Perfect. So an overview of apps. I'm not sure if all the folks on the call know about apps. So this is intended to give you a very quick overview. Basically, we are a global company. We primarily focus on providing consulting services when it comes to software in many different areas related to Oracle products and non-Oracle products. Many of the things that we do are focus on helping process and helping companies improve the way they do things within their organization. For this presentation today, the area that we're focused on is EPM. However, we have about 1,100 worldwide employees, about 300 active clients as we speak today. Many implementations in different areas. In the EPM area, we have about 66 cloud clients today, and hundreds of historically, and hundreds going back to Hyperion and other products. We have locations in the US, Canada, Europe, as well as India. Next, Carla. This slide really gives you an idea of the different areas we work in. We break the business down into different practice areas, from advisory service to business application, and where EPM resides, integration, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, as well as cloud services and managed services. And below, you could see different partnerships that we have with different companies, such as Salesforce, Oracle, Boomi, MuleSoft, and others. Next, please. As far as the EPM practice is concerned, this overview highlights the depth and strength that we have when it comes to EPM, with hundreds of implementations throughout the years, and 50 plus consultants that come from a finance and accounting background with a strong understanding of the principles of finance and accounting, where we help our clients improve what they do today, not just automate what they do today. Long tenure with the company. The consultants that we have are really the reason we are as successful as we are, and they tend to stay with us, and they have a broad range of certifications and knowledge when it comes to applications. The practice itself provides many different services, including strategic services, where we help clients with road mapping and defining the requirements and helping them basically put together a plan for an EPM implementation. We do implementations on-prem and cloud, as well as we provide hosting and managed services to our clients. That's a quick overview. I did not want to take too much time for this, but and now I'm going to turn it over to Kyle Gamble for us to get started with golf. Kyle, it's all yours.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adib. Welcome to what makes a good golfer and when to use what club for EPM, and combination with the art of the possible. So this is a talk that I've given a number of different times to different user groups, and has generally had good feedback. Whether you're a golfer or not, we can still relate. So join me in the conversation along the ride. I'm going to start off with a story that lays the foundation. Go back one slide, Rita. One thing to kind of get started, which is what club to use when. When I grew up as a teenager, I would go down to Florida And that's where I learned how to play golf at my grandmother's condominium. She lived on a nice little golf course, and my brother and I would go out there and hack at weeds. And we were in our late teenage years, and we were going out there trying to play. And my brother didn't really swing at the ball as much as attack it with a fury and intensity that really can't be matched. But he would hack at it and swing so hard that it would fly about 90 yards. It would stop midair. It might wave at you, and then it would just hook and just fly. And if you got a hold of it, you never knew where that ball was going to go. So, of course, in any golf club, there's always some people who are more than willing to give advice, solicited or unsolicited, and said, hey, okay, you need to change your grip a little bit. Okay, now why don't you loosen it up a little bit? And so he had gotten so much advice through the day that he was getting all flustered. And on one of the holes, it went out and a dog leg left. And it right behind that dog leg was a grocery store and a complex. And so he went to go swing, but he is so concentrated on swinging slowly and smoothly and relax your grip that he forgot to hold on to the club. And the club went whoof, 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 over the fence, over the tall trees, and onto a neighboring Publix. And so, we're teenagers, we're broke. So we figured out how to climb 2 stories on top of the first landing on top of the roof, and then climb up another part of the roof. And since I was the younger, I got thrown up, and I was walking up there, and I looked, and it was littered with golf balls. And I had to turn around to my brother and say, what club did you use? I cannot believe that there were probably a good 15 clubs up there. How those had accumulated over time, I was able to find his club and we were able to move on. But we all seem to face that when it comes to the world of finance and accounting and transformation. There's all kinds of tools out there. There's when do I use this? How does that work? How does that operate? And what I want to do for the next little bit is give you a take on when do we use these different clubs? How do they help us in the game that we're trying to do? And so I want you to understand that this is a single platform that has different capabilities. Just like in golf, you don't play golf with a driver the entire course. You don't putt with a driver. You don't drive with a putter. There are different clubs designed for different things based on what you're trying to do. And so that's what we're going to talk through. So why don't we go to the next slide? And I want you to understand that this is a golf bag of tools, and that's what we're going to come back and refer to, just because it helps us give the framework of what we have at our fingertips in the Oracle EPM Suite. So it is a suite. It is an integrated platform. It is a one platform, just like it's one golf bag. It's not, while it has different tool sets, it is one platform, has the same look and feel, data integrations between them, commonality of skill sets. But just like you have different components of an ERP system for subledgers, different, for workforce is different than, like, say, a projects, because they're different designs. They have different purposes. The same is true for EPM, but they have different modules that come together that can service accounting, finance, operations, and they all come together. So I want you to walk away understanding this is a single platform, multiple facets, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, that can impact the organization, not just finance and accounting, can help underpin your finance transformation or in your accuracy and reporting and in your close to report process. So that is the EPM Suite. It is 8 tools that we're going to walk through and tell you when to use what. So let's move to the next one. All right, so here are some of the tools that you've probably heard. There's acronyms out there. If there's acronyms that Oracle can do, like any company, there'll be a lot of them. So I'm going to tell you what their names are, and also the acronyms that if you decide to Google and find more about, you might be able to find it this way. So in here, I'm going to go with what is in this slide, but then I'm going to break it down into generally the audiences that care about each of these tools. Okay, so you have financial planning and budgeting. Obviously, if you're coming off of, or if you've heard of Hyperion or planning or PBCS or EPBCS, all of those things are Hyperion, EPM, Oracle planning. Then you're going to have the financial reporting. There's a narrative reporting tool that helps you be able to go across all platforms, including your Fusion, if you have Oracle Fusion as your ERP. That brings in, has a common platform that helps you be able to report. I'll talk about those benefits shortly. Account reconciliation, sometimes the acronym is as ARCS. For account reconciliation, helps you automate your compliance reporting or transaction matching. Financial close and consolidation is, like it says, it's your close and consolidation tool focused on accounting, profitability, cost and management, allocation engine, tax reporting. And then you're going to see dimension management, sometimes EDMCS, you'll see that name as well. The core underpinning is Essbase. So if you've worked with Essbase in the past, that is the core part of the database. And there's reasons why those structures help you is because it's a tool that handles a lot of data very quickly, allows you to drill down at any part of the dimensionality that if you don't have a multidimensional tool, it really helps you be able to have the data organized for quick reporting and ad hoc analysis. If you do and you're used to it, you understand how that can help you. But the underpinning behind that is technology is those cubes underneath there. So let's go to the next one. Just some quick slides if you don't have the tool, just to give you a quick feel. We're not doing a demo today. We're not opening up any of that. But if you do, let us know. We're more than happy to show the tool to you. But it is a web application. You have a web view, and then you have the good old-fashioned Excel. This allows you to, you'll see off to the left that it's organized, very similar to what you might find on an iPad app or on your iPhone. You're going to have the ability to configure things. So you'll hear me talk about configuring out of the box. So for like if you're doing planning, it comes out and says, hey, what kind of things do you plan? And it helps you be able to use some out of the box functionality. The dimensions in there allow you to edit the hierarchies that you have, your roll-ups, your chart of accounts. You're going to have input forms. You're going to have ways of running logic. So these are just different ways of seeing kind of the view. And this holds true across any tool that you want to bring out, has a general feel and process around it that's similar. Let's go to the next one. Excel, we all know and love Excel. The Excel add-in Smart View, it's the gateway drug of the tool and has been since the beginning. It is obviously the forefront of finance and accounting, being able to do your reporting. You can create customized reports in Excel, or you can do your ad hoc and drill down and real quickly slice and dice your information very quickly across the different data sets that you have, or the different cubes or applications. It allows you to integrate all those things all in one tool from Excel, which we all like and love. So let's go to the next one. Let's talk through each of the tools now. So the question that we get a lot is, okay, what tool does what and when do I use it? And so what I want to do over the next little bit is walk you through each of the tool set. And I'm using the word tool set because it is underneath it is all one platform, just to reiterate that. But there's different modules depending on your audience, what you're trying to accomplish. So we're going to first start off with the accountants of our group. So if you fall in that camp, obviously, this is the focus of the next 3 slides. So you obviously want to do close to report. The core foundation in most clients that come into the Oracle EPM sphere generally start with either FCCS or financial close and consolidation, or you start off with planning, depending on where, but a lot of our clients do both at the same time, or they start one way or the other. These tools are designed to be iterative. You don't have to do all the tools at once. You can do them, you can do a phased approach. You don't have to use all of them. You can use what you want to use. But in the financial close and consolidation tool, what is that? So it's legacy. If you've heard of HFM, that is what the best practice processes were built off of. It has been designed and migrated to the cloud, and it's a cloud tool, and has you don't have to have the infrastructure like you did with HFM. There's a lot more pre-built out of the box. So when you see that to the far left, the best practice consolidation, there's already pieces in play. You take your chart of accounts, you merge it into the tool, and it has the close and consolidation processes that you need. Has additional pieces like supplemental data, being able to upload information that might be additional to your process, workflow, which has the approval processes and the closed calendars as needed, has the dashboards, whether they be financially driven dashboards or task driven dashboards. And then data management, the ability to integrate a lot of different systems. So this is one of what I would say is the core tool for the accounting side of the house when it comes to EPM. The key functionality of this is consolidation, integration, translation, and reporting. So let me talk back through this. Consolidation, obviously being able to take multiple different general ledger sets if needed and consolidate that information for actuals. The integration part, it is tool agnostic, but it also has direct connections into Oracle, any Oracle tool. And then the other piece is the translation, things like obviously the FX translation, pieces like that, automatic eliminations, assuming obviously the data supports it, with other pieces in play that come into it to allow you to have the hierarchies to be able to do your reporting for your statutory reporting. It has all the auditable capabilities. So when you walk away and you have a tool like that, you have the best in breed that has been for a long time. People are very well aware of the HFM and its legacy brought out to the cloud. You have faster time to value with a tool like this. So you get the efficiencies, you not only from getting the implementation done, but also going forward. You have a central repository of the truth. So by being able to have a tool that sits in the middle of the stack that is focused on close and consolidation. Final piece before we move to the next one. The reason why I call this the driver, it is the starting point, obviously, for accounting and finance is getting the results out, right? The same is true, and a lot of people use FCCS or financial close and consolidation to do not only closing the books, but it also helps you be able to deal with acquisitions and quickly being able to roll in your numbers, or in transition. If people are making chart of account changes and things of that nature, it's easier to do those things in a tool like this as you're transitioning across platforms and other ledger systems. So this is a place to keep your statutory reporting, the hierarchies that you need to make sure that you have consistent reporting. If you're rolling companies in, you can roll them in very quickly. Just grab a trial balance, map it into the chart of accounts, and be able to have your consolidation engine work its magic. So that's the core FCC. And that's the driver behind the closure report. So let's go to the next slide. This one's the closure report part of the tool is also the account reconciliation. Or if you're going to Google it, it's ARCS. This one has really two functions. It automates the account reconciliation process, which we all know is a bear and a burden and very annoying. You have this. We're seeing a lot of people say, "Hey, that's great. Now that I've got my close solid." Now, what other things can I do and to create efficiencies within our group? Well, not many people like to do the account reconciliations. So this helps you automatically do the ones that can auto reconcile or automatically reconcile, the ones that have logic to them to say, hey, you can do these, you can do that, or if it has kickouts that you need to go find, you can go do that. So instead of you having to make sure you check everything, you're managing by exception. It really does help speed up the process, as well as you have a central tool that you can help for auditors. So you can say, hey, look, you want to go see what this is at any time period, any given period, you can go and take a look at it. So you can bring in your data from your general ledgers as well as sub ledgers and be able to reconcile that. There's another component of it for transaction matching. So whether you're talking bank reconciliations or PO systems and invoices, you can have logic that can take huge amounts of data and be able to auto reconcile and then kick out the differences to allow the users to go in and find what they need to do. And if there's obviously any pieces that need to happen for a journal entry, you can take that data and export it back and load it into whatever journal ledger upload process that you have and be able to post those. So it really does, it is a very nice extension to the foundation of the close process. So when you talk about the benefits here, this is a great Fairway Woods tool. If we're talking about it, it gets, it can take you a very long way from a volume efficiency and automation of task. So let's go to the next one. TRCS is the tax reporting tool. And at the end of the day, this helps you be able to take in the information and do the calculations for your tax and the administration of that process. So this is a tool that when you kind of talk about it, you generally go 1, 2, 3. This takes your end results, whether it be from actuals or if you want to use it for planning, takes those information, brings in the tax calculations, and allows you to be able to house that information and see where you're going to land with that, or if it's for actuals or to adjust accruals, or for your future, you can do those things as well for forecasting. The main benefits here is that it helps you manage effectiveness when you're talking about a tax strategy, as well as being a central repository of the truth for planning your taxes and being able to have visibility into what often is a very muddy area and taxes, of course, impacts how we plan things and transfer pricing and everything with that. Let's move to the next one. All right, so let's move into more of the finance side of the house. We've got our actuals done. Now what do? It generally flips over to the finance group as they're looking into the future. And just like you had FCC for financial close and consolidation, you have planning, which is focused on planning and budgeting. This is a very robust tool. The reason why irons were chosen on this one is when you get out there and you play golf and you're in the middle of the fairway, there are a lot of things. It depends on how far away you are from the hole, what's the obstacles in front of you. Do you want to go high? Do you want to go low? So irons are very flexible. PBCS is very flexible. It is a tool that is configurable, but has different modules with it. So just like FCC was the core for the accounting group, this is the core for the FP&A group. With this, it allows you to, if you look at the key functionality, plan, integrate your data. This goes across not only ERPs, but integrate other things like your HRIS data, your statistical information that might be your drivers to calculate your revenue or expenses, bring in capital rosters. This helps you being able to bring in a lot of data and model it for the future, or report off of it to do your budget variance analysis, or just doing your analysis period. Aggregation of data, one of the key struggles with anybody who's not using a planning tool is the spreadsheets are everywhere, and how do I roll this up? And once we do, it's very difficult to get the answers back down. And as I want to drill up and drill down and create the information, if I have a link off, all of a sudden my numbers are off, and it creates a lot of frustration. If you do have a planning tool that is not as robust as an Oracle platform, you a lot of times have struggles with having different views of your hierarchies. You might have one hierarchy, but you can't have multiple of them. And in finance, you're constantly dealing with the future and different audiences. And so you might need to have different views or different hierarchies and structures depending on who you're talking with. So it allows you to be able to handle large amounts of data in different views and aggregate and have a central repository of the truth. Modeling, you're going to see up here at the top, you're going to see financials, workforce, projects, CapEx, and strategic modeling. It comes with out-of-the-box modeling. Comes with configurable processes that are pre-built that allow you to configure based on your needs. Do I want to plan my workforce? And if so, is it by employer or job? When I talk about my revenue, is it going to be factor driven? And when I talk about expenses, is it going to be factor driven or trend driven or input? And allows you to quickly get to where you need to go. I'm going to tell you that the out-of-the-box modeling gets most people anywhere between 60 and 75% of the way there. There's always a gap based on industry or your company specifics, but it does get you a core foundation and a structure that has those best practices built in that allow you to plan very quickly. So what are the benefits here? Single version of the truth, already mentioned, being able to have everything in one spot is very helpful for finance. The analytical insight cannot be undersold. The ability to have that data at your fingertips and the insights, many companies are drowning in data, but starving for insights. And most of the time it's because their data is not organized in a way that can be used to drive the business. If you have your platform right, you'll see some stats later that it can make a huge difference. As well as a strategic platform. There's a lot of companies who are trying to do transformation as a company with finance helping lead the charge and need to understand what the impact is, and it can help you be able to handle those. Okay, let's keep moving. That was planning in a nutshell. One of the things that also is included in this suite is profitability and cost management, or PCM or PCMCS, depending on where you're Googling. The audience could be finance or accounting. This is a allocation engine. Most of the time it's focused more on the finance group, but accounting does use this sometimes even a part of their close process to handle complicated allocations or for reporting purposes if needed. Generally, this tool helps you be able to either align your data to be able to have better visibility. So taking your cost and aligning with your products or your services and getting a very granular view of, I want to be able to see my P&L by whatever is important to you. This can really help you be able to get to that cost. We've seen some huge wins, and you'll see them in some other webinars that we do. By comboing planning with PCMCS, you can use this to get very granular insights. And we've had companies find that what they thought were their biggest sellers and their big money makers were actually their biggest losers. And we've also seen companies say, I can't get my data aligned in a way that gives me a view that's helpful. And this helps you be able to say, based on this logic, this data should be aligned this way. So it's a very powerful tool. Think of it as basically as an allocation engine or an ABC costing type of a solution that can take data from anywhere, process it, and then push it back as needed. Let's go to the next one. All right, so NRCS. This is the reporting cloud tool. What this is really your audience is completely open. Anybody using EPM, and even it can go on top of Fusion. So if we have some Fusion people in the audience as well, this allows not only from a reporting perspective to be able to create those reports that you're using. It also has the ability to create automatic footnotes for board decks and for presentations or for publishing your results. It also has a thread component to help, if you have a question, you can send it to someone else and say, hey, I was looking at the numbers and Q4 looks strange. Can you take a look at this? Or as you work through the reporting process, you can have that same kind of, hey, can you go take care of this 1, 2, 3 type of a thing. So it does allow you visibility more than just it's a nice reporting engine that can access data from multiple different information pulled along the same report and grid, but it can also handle the footnotes and threads. And so what it does is it helps that community of reporting automate their process, as well as have consistency and mainly because of the communication that comes with it. So this helps you finish out a lot of what you're doing, whether it be for statutory reporting or for management reporting or for your variance analysis. So that's why the putter is chosen, is because you use it quite a bit. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so this is, if you look at your master data management, sometimes it's called enterprise data management, or if you're going to Google it, it's EPMCS. This is a tool that is designed more for the administration of EPM, but administration across the applications and all applications within your enterprise. It is an enterprise application. What it does is it takes all of your structures from your different systems and allows generally IT to bring that in, unless you're using it just for the EPM suite. But it does allow you to bring in all of your structures and align them. And so that way you have also the approval process. So if somebody needs an account or a cost center, it goes through the right channels. When it's updated in this tool, then it can publish it to the other applications. The other applications can take it in and process it. So if somebody needs to make a change to your chart of accounts for Fusion, it can automatically update your close process or your planning process. And so it helps you do the master data management. It helps keep things clean and tidy from your reporting as well, and that consistency across your applications. So that's why I have that as the golf bag, is because all the rest of the clubs go in there, and it can help organize all of your structures, which helps you with data governance as well as consistency with your end users and automation, so people don't, you have the efficiencies that come with that. So that is what enterprise data management is. All right, let's keep moving. We're going to move out of the golf bag analogy and on the tools, and I want to tie this into how does this actually matter to making sure you use these tools to the best of the ability of the tools to make sure you get where you want to get. Long story short, this is the visualization of best practices to make sure that you're not getting frustrated with certain pieces. So let me come back and tell another story real quickly. You'll see this golfer right here. There's a reason why this image exists. It was surprisingly when I went to go do this presentation, and I typed golf player throwing clubs in the lake, how many images popped up. And I was actually sitting outside. We live on a golf course, and this was about a year ago or so. And there was a guy who was really frustrated and, yelling about a bad shot. And he's like, "I'm done." And he picked up his clubs and threw them in the lake. And my boy and I were looking at each other going, that's going to be, let's see how this happens. And he got in his cart, and I was thinking, and he just drove off. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. And there were some teenagers that were behind waiting to play. And they were eyeing the clubs thinking this is great because the high school team plays on there. So anyway, guy left, and we're looking to see what's going to happen. Well, within about a minute, he turned back around, and we're thinking, okay, so he came to his senses. So he got out of his cart and waded into the lake, picked them up, and then opened up the side pocket, picked out his keys, and dropped the bag and got back in his cart and drove off. And that is what has happened with some people who either implement either a tool that doesn't fully meet their needs, or they don't know how to own the tool. And I want to make sure that with all the power behind this best suite practice, there are people who turn it on and don't learn how to use it to its full potential, or don't implement it in a way that allows them to get the maximum benefits out of a suite. And this thing, like the EPM suite, is extremely powerful. And we have come in between different companies that have had frustrations of either owning the application or didn't design it to their needs, or a lot has changed and they need to, to change some things. And so what we want to do is make sure that the tech that you have allows the people that you hire to do smart things. And this tool set does. And that's what I want to talk about next is, if you're looking at implementations, how do I make sure that I get the best value out of this? So let's go to the next thing, and making sure that your people are doing the best with it. By the way, there's another picture. I didn't go through the 15 pictures that could pop open. So when people do struggle, they struggle in one of two ways. And I'm going to talk through this very quickly. You have two different approaches to the tool. You can have a consultant mindset, which is, if we are lucky enough to work with you, we'll talk a little bit more about that, versus what we call the plumber approach, which is, well, tell me what you want me to build and I'll go build it. Versus the consultant of, help me understand what you're trying to accomplish, and let me give you the options and show them to you in quick prototypes, and then you pick the option that is best for you. And we found a very successful way of doing that. This tool is designed to be agile. It's designed to be iterative in nature. It's designed for process improvement, not just to automate. So if you come in and just say, all I want is a faster food processor, you are probably not going to get the full value out of the tool. Or down the road, you're going to say, hey, they are asking me for different pieces, and now I need to adjust for that. So we do want to make sure that as you look at these tools, you implement in a way that allows you to maximize that. So let's go to the next one. So when we talk about things, you can use this tool to create efficiencies. If you look at that blue circle off to the right, You can create efficiencies, but if you're not effective, you can have a lot of action with very little impact. It means that you can do things faster, but you might not actually impact the organization. While this tool can do that, and there is some organizations that's their main focus, their processes might already be effective, but there's a lot that can use this for transformation and make their processes more effective. But if you take that, you might be able to do things faster, but might not have the impact on the organization that you're looking to do. If you focus on your process, but you're not efficient, you can do things that are really good, but they might not be timely. They might cause burnout. And then you have those when you talk about turnaround issues. So you can see down below some of those examples of effectiveness versus efficiency. The idea is to combine the two, and that's where you get your optimal performance, not only of the tool, but of your organization. So we really want to help encourage people that as they look through these tools, and this suite and this platform for expansion, that you have a roadmap that we talk through. What are you trying to automate? So that's what can we make routine, and what do we need to focus on to give you the better insights to make the better decisions? What planning levels do you need to plan out? What data do you need to bring in to make your close process faster? Account reconciliation a lot of times is on the efficiency side. On the effectiveness side is also the fact that it can lower some of your audit timeframes because you have it all in one tool and they're not having to go search for things. So there's ways of being able to do and use these tools to create optimal performance for your organization. Let's go to the next piece. Final funny story is when I was talking to you that I learned on the golf course at my grandmother's place. She was quite the competitor. I lost quite a few nickels per hole to her. And I remember when I was 13 years old, I beat her for the first time. And I ran inside and I was all excited. And I was like, "Hey, Dad, I beat beat Grandma. And he's like, "That's pretty good. When you get back to school, who are you going to tell that one to?" I was like, "Oh." So I realized at that point, that things can be deceiving on some of these things because my grandmother, if you understood that she played golf every day and that she was a former college athlete, that might change your perception of things. That I was excited to finally beat her. By the way, out of the entire times, I think I beat her like 5 times. She played on the course every day. It was absolutely fantastic. But things can be deceiving unless you get the right technology and strategy in place. So let's go to the next one, and let me kind of tie this back together of making sure that you know what to do. You have the experience behind you to play the right way. She couldn't hit things necessarily far, but she knew where the ball needed to be at any given hole. She had the experience behind it. And so what we want to do is make sure that as we talk through this, that we are providing that experience to make sure that you have the winning playbook. One of the ways that we've found that allows you to win with these tools is to actually impact the organization. The idea is great to get your tasks done, but there's a reason why a lot of CFOs are now CSOs, Chief Strategic Officers. There's some reasons why other parts of the organizations are rolling up under finance because you need to be able to have the insights with the numbers, and the numbers drive the results, obviously, but you need to take your strategy of your company and bounce it against the numbers to find out, is this the way that we want to go? And you need to do that quickly and effectively to be able to make sure that you lead other companies. So what I want to do in this is now talk through the final pieces of how you tie this into your strategy of your company. So first off, your strategic alignment is important. These tools are designed to not only help create efficiencies like we've talked to, but also impact the organization. By being able to take what you're trying to accomplish and tie back the technology to underpin it, it allows you to make sure that you're capturing the right information to know whether you're doing things right. You're able to have better predictions. That allows you to hire differently. That allows you to know which markets are the right way, or you go into a market and you're not getting the results that you want to be able to get that information very quickly to make sure that you can pivot. So we've already talked through the efficiencies. The final piece is that organizational impact. And I want to walk away with a couple things that if you don't have Oracle EPM, you need it for these reasons. One, outside of their planning tools or their close tools or their tools that help you be able to do your job, these are the benefits. It allows the people to do smart things. Most companies spend 78% of their time doing data manipulation and organization to get the reporting, and only the rest of the time being able to actually do value add analysis to be able to make better decisions. If you can flip that paradigm, just imagine what you can do. So you want your smart people that you hired to do analysis or to close the books, to do those things, to find the information and not have to do data manipulation. You want your smart people doing smart things. You want the right information to the right people at the right time. If you can have that, you can make better decisions. And then finally, one of the things that's really nice, whether you're talking any of these tools, is the ability to integrate key metrics. And those metrics allow you to quickly see if you're doing things right, wrong, or if this is what you want to, where you want to be heading. And so by being able to have those visibilities, those metrics, those dashboards, those are really being able to help drive the conversation as opposed to report the conversation. Let's go to the final one. A lot of times people go, hey, that's great. That's nice, Kyle, but what actually are the best practices? So I'm going to go through a couple things. You've already heard me rail on a few of these ones, but to the far left is going to be the alignment and agility of the organization. So this goes back to, if you can align your data with the way that people need to see the information and analyze it and report off of it, you'd be amazed at how many companies struggle with that. And if you're probably nodding along, you're at one of them, which is, I've got to do all these things just to get things organized the way I want to see it. So that allows you to be able to move quicker. The collaborative operations with finance and accounting to be able to get the information quickly as opposed to just report it, but being able to have operations involved allows you to get ahead of the results as opposed to just report them. The operations, by being able to have the insights into what the numbers are, actually have the time to be able to make those adjustments that will obviously impact your results. Off to the other ones, having the drivers that drive the business, those key metrics that we were talking about, can then be used to help do your predictions and your finance planning. So we see a lot of people that start off with, I'm just inputting my data for my sales or for my revenue or for different pieces of that. But then once they start getting the right key metrics in place, all of a sudden those key metrics become the drivers for your financial forecast. And then that way, when you're doing budget variance analysis, people understand what changed. You know, was it my sales price? Was it my user base change? Was it my channel that what's causing this? Was it, you know, my product mix? You know, what was driving those variances? I've already hammered on the smart people, so I'm not going to go back there again. The faster, reliable process is off to the right from that close process, being able to quickly integrate acquisitions or do other things that are the extension of accounting and finance, like your treasury, tax management, things of that process really help you extend beyond the current accounting and finance landscape to be able to do other things that impact the organization. So those are just some of the best practices that we see. That are not technologically related, but of the benefits. What are you trying to accomplish by having this technology? If you're just trying to improve your technology only, then you probably aren't going to achieve the maximum results. But when you're trying to actually make a difference, impact the organization, that's when you can start aligning your technology to create those best efficiencies and effectiveness. So let me stop there. Let's go to the next slide. And I believe that takes us to conclusion for questions and answers.
Do you recommend implementing one module at a time or grouping some of them and implementing them at the same time?
That's a great question. It lends itself to be able to do multiple modular implementations if you choose to. A lot of times resource constraints or promises to others seem to drive that most of the time. There are certain ones that seem to go hand in hand that could be chunked together. So a lot of companies, if you're kind of talking on the account and close side, will do, you might do FCCS first and then do ARCs, and those might be phased or could be done at the same time. If you are doing the planning side, you might see like financials and workforce going in with PCMCS all at the same time. And then you might come back and add in like a CapEx or something else like that, or extend out. So you can phase them, or you can do them at the same time. So I hate to put my consulting hat on that one, but it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And that's one of the beauties of the tool, is that it's iterative in nature. So
Right.
you can do them in parallel or together. Adib?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Kyle, and I think that's absolutely the right answer. But if I may take another approach to the answer here and say that you don't have to do them together. There's no real dependency from one to the other. So you could really prioritize the areas that really concern you the most and implement those, and then roll into the other areas. That's what we see the most often, is that companies fulfill their key functions like consolidation, financial reporting, budgeting, and then they're able to do the other functions after that. And there's no extra cost or effort if you do it that way, because there are independent modules that do a specific function and they can operate independently as need be.
Great. Another question that I got was, what systems does this integrate with and how do you handle it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. The tool is system agnostic. I'll start off with, at least if you have an Oracle tool, that it has direct connections in, but it's not only you have to be in the Oracle sphere at all. We integrate with pretty much any ERP. It doesn't really matter. You bring in your trial balance and you bring it in, or an HRIS system like an ADP or OT Pro, or statistical point of sale systems are brought in a lot of times as well. So the idea of having this platform is to bring in different data sets and merge them and harmonize them into a way that finance and accounting can use.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. And then I have two more questions. What is the order to roll it out?
That I will tell you what we see. Going back to that previous question, like what Adib said, you don't have to do, there is no dependency on them. We will tell you the common route is either you start in the accounting world and you do SCCS and then you go to ARCs, or you do planning and then go over FCCS, and do your close, and then you add on models past that. So it really, I will tell you, we do EPM road mapping workshops. And if you are truly interested in understanding the order of events, it depends on what your strategy is. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you're popping that open yet. So grab those emails, send it to those. We can do, we do those both formally and informally. So we can do the high levels pretty quickly, but there's some questions that have to be asked before this is the way you do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's dependencies related to how do you do things today, right? Depending on what you do within your ERP system might dictate which module makes sense. How do you do your budgeting today? How do you do your consolidation? So while they're independent and there's not many dependencies, they are still related, right? Because they are related functionally. And that's really the question mark. So this is not an attempt to try to sell you services. It's a true honest answer that says just a little bit more conversation and you will get a lot of value by us giving you, sharing with you our experience and what we've seen, and let you then make a decision on which way you want to go.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, and then last question. Do you need to use all of these or just some of them?
Okay, so the answer is you have access to all of them if you're getting the suite. You do not have to use all of them. There are common ones that are used across the board once you own the tool. You almost always have a planning application and a closing consolidation. Most companies are now also doing the reconciliation because it's a time saver. If you need that reporting aspects, why not? Why not have your footnotes automated? And so when we were talking about earlier an iteration, and there's a lot of questions on when do you do what, by understanding your functional landscape as well as what you're trying to accomplish, that depends on which tools you use when. And kind of going back to that iterative nature, we're all, we've been working with accounting and finance people from 20 years, and I come out of it, there's never a good time to do a project. And so what happens is you're using people that have day jobs. And so it depends on which group and their timing of what time of year it is, what their needs are, what their pain points are. And there are certain, like going back to dependencies, like you might want to get your actuals done first and then flip over to plan. But you might want to start with the planning because you might be doing something else that might dictate that you don't do your consolidations first. So all that to say, you don't have to use all the tools, but they're all there, they're all available. And most of our companies we find they start off with 1 to 2, and then they expand out and use 2/3 of the tool set, I would say on average.
Yeah, I agree with that, Kyle. The one thing I would add is, I know that the golf club analogy might make someone think I wouldn't go golfing unless I had all those clubs. So shall I go to work without having all these modules? That's where the analogy is a bit different. It just depends on, you have to be able to justify buying the application, implementing it, spending the money. You have to have enough function today that will justify investing the time and effort. It has to bring value, like Kyle said. Either it's got to help you from a better visibility standpoint or help you with time consumption on doing certain functions. It has to have that, and that's where we can help you. Really take a look at it and say, many cases we have where clients ask us these questions, and we go in and we take a look at things, and we're like, it's not worth it, right? What you do today is basic enough and simple enough. If you were to change a couple of processes, you will gain a lot of efficiency without having to implement something at that stage. So that's why the answer is a bit tough. We need to know more about it in order to tell you, which one you need to, when you don't.
Great, thank you.
I hope this was informative. And if you need anything more, reach out to us. We would love to continue the conversation.